Hey guys, this is the gear for today, and you'll notice a different bowl that I'm trying out. I mentioned that I had met with Michael Freedberg a few days ago, I guess it's a week ago now, and he gave me this cool Yaqi ceramic lather bowl, and I'm going to try it out today for the first time in real life. And Midnight Stag is the scent today for the soap and the cologne. Semogue Owners Club boar brush with a Taj handle that I'm using for Austere August here. It's been soaking for, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Timeless open comb, stainless steel razor at the 68 gap, and a feather blade that I've been running for a while now. I think 67 or 68 uses is what today is going to be for that blade. The one of the issues about Yaqi and the whole AliExpress thing over there is that, and this is something Michael and I discussed when we met for lunch, is that sometimes it's a two-edged sword. Sometimes it's great to shop there because they're the place that some U.S. vendors are getting their stuff anyway. Like the Vikings blade, I am just firmly convinced that they are, for their razors like the Godfather and several of their other razors, they are just taking a Lee razor or having Lee make them a razor with a pinstripe. And then it's the same $8, $6 razor that Lee has with AliExpress and Yaqi and all those guys, where you can get it for very cheap. And then Vikings Blade takes it, they have the pinstripe on it, they have a story to it, and now they're going to charge you 5-6 times as much. Now they do offer I think a guarantee, a warranty kind of thing. That's not something that Lee does, and so it's probably worth a little extra money for that, because after all, it's a pot metal razor, and if you don't clean it and get the moisture out of the threading after a while, that will break eventually. It'll take a while, but I mean, you're not going to return it to them for replacement, right? Because we all just forget. We forget about the where we bought it from, or we lose our receipt, that kind of thing, and we usually don't take advantage of those kind of things anyway. But it's there for you in case you do, and so that's worth a little bit of money. But that's something that I kind of feel I got cheated by Vikings Blade, by that Godfather razor in the beginning of my shaving hobby, my experience with this kind of stuff. And I just want to keep people from being taken. Fortunately, I bought the Vikings blade through Amazon, and I was able to return it. I even took pictures of the Vikings blade right next to the Lee, and the seams of the metal stamping process and all that, they're all exactly the same. The only thing I wish I would have done was weigh the two razors and make sure they're the same. Vikings Blade claims that they have a special alloy that is used that makes it different than the Lee, but I think it's kind of hard to believe. All right, and besides, it's still an alloy, pretty much the same stuff. So definitely not stainless steel. Let's put the razor and blade together. So the two sides of the coin that I was talking about is sometimes it's a great place to source some inexpensive stuff that American shave vendors are getting as well. And so you're kind of cutting out the middleman. Now, of course, if you want to support American shaving retailers like Maggard razors, that sort of thing, some of the razors that they have that are the pot metals type. But see, Maggard doesn't upcharge crazy amount like Vikings Blade does, and other companies like Vikings Blade. But they obviously make a little bit of profit off those razors. And so it's a way to donate to a good American company like Maggard razors if you do order that same Lee product from over there. But you could go directly to the source if you wanted to. Sometimes it takes a little while to get to you. Sometimes it's not too bad. But then the bad side is that I am convinced that the crafters over there at either Yaqi or some of those other companies that you can get when you visit AliExpress, at Yaqi, definitely them, they take somebody's invention and they see if it's popular, and if it's popular, then they clone it and try to sell it, and they're usually able to sell it at a much lower price and undercut the original creator, and I don't like that. And so this bowl is an obvious clone of the Pereira lather bowl. It's got the same spirals here, same spirals with the dots. That's Pereira right there. It's got the same loop right here, even kind of looks the same as Pereira. Now it's smaller in diameter, so they aren't trying to do an exact clone. And so because of that, I think that this, for me at least, does not cause a lack of sales for Pereira. Because Pereira bowl is kind of expensive and hard to get sometimes. And it's also marketed as unbreakable. And I think Pereira kind of exaggerates the unbreakable nature of their particular bowl. I mean, the worst we're going to do with it as shavers is drop it. And so it doesn't really need to be proven to be run over by a Hummer or something like that. And so I think they go a little far with that. But this one's ceramic, so obviously you don't want to be dropping that. And the handle here, while I don't hold the lather bowl when I'm working with a lather bowl with a handle, I don't hold it like this, because that's a lot of leverage. It's kind of a heavy-ish bowl. A lot more comfortable for me to use that as a thumb loop, and then it's pretty good. My visual inspection of this bowl in pictures over the last couple years, I have seen it. I've wondered about it because I'm such a lather bowl fanatic. I've wondered because $25 I think is what they had this one for online. And I'm glad they're not undercutting their price too much. The Pereira bowl is a little bit more, but you are getting premium ingredients, materials, and then a little bit wider size. It's a little wider and maybe not as deep. And the deep nature of a bowl comes into play when you get the chinking of the if it's deep and narrow, you get the chinking of the brush handle as you're working it. And so that can be a negative factor for some. And so I'm glad about this product, that I don't think it's really going to undercut Pereira's sales very much, because of the price is not a rock bottom price at $25, $28, something like that. And it is slightly different dimensions. So this, of course, up here is a brush rest, and you won't see all brushes working with this. There are some, like this one has a high point of the handle right here. And so that's close. It's past the center of gravity. But some with even like big brushes, big knots that get full of wet lather, and then their little bump comes maybe right here, that changes the center of gravity, and then a lot of times a bowl won't stay up in this trough kind of rest, you know. And so the Fine Accoutrements lather bowl has this same type. And I like that this one's larger. It's easier to press, to lay the brush in casually. With the Fine one, you have to think about it a little bit more. Now notice my 3D bowl that I've used for so many years, designed by Roger Quinn. He went with a very ingenious double U shape type rack. And of course you can support the U shape with whatever design you want. And doubly ingenious is this, because that's a great thumb rest if you want to do that. So he accomplished a couple of things at once with that. I have yet to find a brush that doesn't sit really well and securely, and all the right words, in his designed this type of double U shape. Where I've found maybe a third of my brushes will not stay in this kind of arrangement. All right, so that's what we'll be playing with today. I did a test lather with this brush just a minute ago, and it reminds me of the Stirling boar brush. It is tons of backbone, very firm. The tips, of course, with its, I think it's its first use, the tips are not giving me any grace. They weren't super scratchy, but they were scrubby, that kind of thing. I do expect that to turn into a softer brush, because even a cheap boar brush, if you use it enough, get those tips to split, softens up quite a bit. And that's one cool thing about boar brushes. All right, let's get on with the show here. I did a test lather with Williams just to clean that boar brush, and so my face has already been washed, so we don't have any skin oils or anything like that today. And the razor is in the blade. Shall we do that? Yeah, let's do that quick method again, like we did before. Here's the Midnight Stag. Take the Semogue Owner's Club out of the water. Shake a lot of it out. And why don't we try a 3-second load? 1, 2, 3. And that's it. That's it. Now I am going to, if there's anything, oh look, the water is dripping out there. It's just going to go in my shirt if I don't let it drip out now. Maybe I should have shaken the brush a little bit more. Sorry about the pause there. So this is my third day trying this little quickie method, where I basically don't bring the lather together in the bowl or on my face. I just work, I think I'm going to call it a slurry lather. I keep it super wet, and that's it. And that's it. The brush is still kind of dripping some water. No, I want to use, okay, let's not do the slurry lather. Let's work up a lather in the bowl here, because I want to use this bowl and try it out today. I know the slurry lather works well. So we're going to switch gears. You know, it's the definition of irony that Michael Freedberg would give me a bowl to lather with. I'm going to just take this lather and put it back in the bowl so we get more of a fair shave here. Because Michael is a notorious face latherer, and I have found his videos early on because, I mean, they're so well recommended. He's got a 4-part wet shaving tutorial that is terrific in so many aspects of shaving, and especially if you're a face latherer. He does the method where you shake out some of the water after you've taken your brush out of the water. Then you load your soap, and you start working it on your face, and you dribble water droplets on your brush, on your upturned brush, as you seek to hydrate your lather. Now, I have tried so many different shapes of bowls, and the dimensions on this one kind of resemble a large espresso cup. And the one good thing here is that this brush is large. I can press it down only halfway and it covers the entire bottom of the bowl. And that is doing me a favor in one sense. That is making it almost impossible to get to the edge of the bowl with my brush handle. I'm never going to ding the sides of the bowl with this brush because the knot here, the splay, is acting as a bumper. And granted, we've got, you're not going to be able to mix up a ton of lather. This lather hasn't started overflowing but any more soap and it would. Smaller bowls also make you do smaller circles, and my muscles notice that. The larger circles that I'm able to do with a larger diameter bowl seem more natural to me, and I don't know, the circles that you make tend not to feel like you're doing some kind of repetitive stress injury type motion. Well, there we go. Also, this size is probably going to be fine if you have a smaller brush, like some of the smaller Semogue boar brushes, or if you have a brush with a lot of backbone, because see, that's not going to have that splay. And so you're going to be able to have good movement. You're going to be able to keep more lather in the bowl, that sort of thing. This size here reminds me a little bit, it might be a little bit bigger, then the Timeless. The Timeless created a lather bowl. It's some kind of plastic, hard, rubber, foamy type material. All right, let's go ahead. This is a drier lather. So you can see by the texture on my face, I usually don't have a lather that's this dry on my face. So what can we do? We can just shave with it. I mean, it'll still work. Won't be as slick. But we can also add water. With my big bowl, I don't have to worry about overflowing. It almost never does. With this one, I think you would. But what if this one holds enough soap for 3 passes? And so then your job as the shaver is not to load too much soap so that you end up having too much lather. I don't know that this is a good traveling shape because it's so kind of tall. Obviously, it's fragile. You could use it as a soup bowl if you wanted to. In that sense, it could perform multiple tasks, which might be handy if you were traveling. And then I'm going to... yeah, you see the shape? Look at the texture there. That's a little too dry for me. You may like it this dry, where you see that texture. And the texture I'm talking about here is it's not changing shape. It's not fluid in any way. You can see hills and valleys. You can see kind of a firmness to it, that sort of thing. So I think we probably need, what if we added some more water? Let's see what happens. And if you ever put a lather on your face that's really too dry, you can add, and it's probably easiest to just add some water to your brush. But, you can also just take it off like that and put it back in your bowl. Reconstitute it with the rest of your lather. Now we'll get it nice and well mixed. Now here we're, I showed you that texture a minute ago with the kind of the part that I had wiped up on the side of the bowl. Well, take a look at this texture. Totally different. Those are some things to look out for as you develop your own preferences for where you like your hydration. You may want to, I call this a marshmallow cream. I mean, look, there are no hills and valleys of any consequence around here. They are just, it's like one mountain instead of a bunch of little mountains. So using this bowl, I am a little nervous about potential lather overflowing, but it's doing a great job. All right, let's use this. Put a little bit of water on my face here. Since I put the lather on kind of early, that did start to get that soap and hydration to absorb into my face. So don't really need to spend a lot of time with that anymore on this shave. So this is either the 68th or something like that use. 67th, 68th. For this feather, it's doing a great job. You can tell it's not brand new, but it's not uncomfortable. It's not tugging. And it does a very efficient job of taking down, in this razor, my stubble, even just in the first pass. And that leads me to think that this is going to be an easy journey to 100. Very nice. And rinse. One thing I really love these handles for, as you can see, I don't really need it in general, because even if there was no handle at all here, I'd be holding the bowl like this. But what it does offer you is a little bit of security and the ease of being able to pick the bowl up. But here's the surprise. Here's what I didn't see coming, as I have a couple of bowls with the thumb loops. The thumb loop is terrific when you're rinsing out your bowl and washing it. Things get slippery in that type of situation, and the thumb loop makes sure that you don't drop it. Of course, the thumb loop means that you could potentially hang it on a wall or something like that, on a hook underneath a shelf. Save some space with it. That could be very handy for some. I have a feeling whenever I buy a house, buy my next house, it's not going to be large, and so I'm going to need to make good use of space. And there we go, nice, comfortable. I do feel the blade edge a little bit, but it's consistent. It's so solidly held by this razor. I think that's one of the advantages. The base plate here comes right up to the blade edge. And so the edge is just held firmly. Rare. I can't think of another razor that holds it that close to the edge. Carve does a great job, but I don't think it's quite that close. Close to the edge, it's almost. But they both do such a wonderful job, and I think that makes for a consistent, smoother shave and efficient while not agitating you in many cases. You've heard me talk about my large lather bowl so much and how much I love that size. One advantage to a lather bowl that's not that large is this right here. It's so much easier to just drop your brush in the bowl than to put it over here on the rest. When you do that and drop it in the bowl with a small bowl, the brush doesn't have as far to go, and this one will stop in a way where the handle doesn't get super messy. It doesn't submerge itself under the lather. My larger bowl, and it has a nipple, a dimple sticking up out of the middle, and that's what keeps it from sliding in. But bowls that are large that do not have that, the brush will just slump right into the lather. And so an advantage of this more narrow bowl is that a brush of this size is going to sit nicely for you. I like that. Right now I am not quite as much feeling the ropiness of the brush. It seems to be maybe a little bit softer than I've experienced it in maybe the past week. So could be just my imagination. Could be that it is and it should be theoretically growing softer each day with more splits each day. And third pass. I can even take on a slightly against the grain angle with this set out here and not cause any lasting irritation. It bothers me a little bit at the time, but it doesn't last. And there we go. I think we've got a nice close shave. Let's get a good rinse now. Was going to towel dry my face, then I remembered with an alcohol splash, especially one of Stirling's nature, I think maybe they have a higher alcohol content than some, and so I do like to leave my face a little wet to make this kinder to my skin. You can even do the back of your neck if you want to spread that good scent around even more. There's one internet guy out there who has a video that said that alcohol is rough on your skin, so you shouldn't use it on your freshly shaven face. It's kind of funny. That definitely flies in the face of the practices of shavers for decades and decades. And he says he advocates with an alcohol splash to put it on the back of your neck in one place so that you get the scent. But any of the skin goodies you're not getting. And some people like the alcohol because it's a little bit of an antiseptic for your freshly shaven face. And so obviously the back of your neck doesn't need an antiseptic. So I think that's kind of funny, but I mean, do it if you want to. All right. I mean, I think you're better off in that case just spraying some cologne on after the shave, because the aftershave isn't designed to last a long time. So it's designed to help your face first. Clean, disinfect, give you a little bit of smell. If you like menthol, then that has properties to help your face as well. And then the fact that it doesn't have a long scent duration is a secondary issue. And if you're putting on the back, then all you want is the scent. And if you want that to be your primary issue, then that is why EDPs, that's why colognes were made. So I think that's kind of funny advice. So successful test today with the Yaqi bowl. It did just fine. It does make me do smaller circles with my arm. Maybe that's something I would get used to and then wouldn't have an issue with at all. My arm bothers me a little bit, but it could be because I have to hold my gear up high to show it to you guys while I mix. And most of you guys don't have to hold your bowls up to the clavicle shoulder level when you do this kind of operation. And so then that might not be a problem at all for you. So I'm very grateful to Michael for giving me the opportunity to try this bowl. I'm going to try it with other brushes. Just like certain blades work differently with other razors, with different razors, a brush and a bowl share a similar relationship. This one may be just perfect for smaller brushes, more firm brushes, as I shake out my brush in the sink. And there we go. Let's take out the blade from the razor. So I'm enjoying City Slicker there from Stirling in terms of the after shave splash. Right now I'm getting the woody part of the scent. And I think they just put some cologne type notes in with some traditional outdoorsy woody kind of notes, and I just really like what they did there. All right. Was that 3 seconds of loading? I think that might have been 3 seconds of loading. And I still had 2 passes in the bowl to wash down the drain at the end of the shave. Yep, that's the way it goes with bowl lathering. It's very efficient in soap usage. 23 milliliters of water used to make today's lather. I thought it was nice. I thought it might be as good of that in terms of a mature lather that you mix up in the bowl. That's about as good as I get it. I don't think it should be any wetter. I don't think it could use to be any drier. So very happy with that. Feather did great, and it continues to march on. And I think that's it. Oh, for today's shave, let's show using the Stag as the cologne. Midnight Stag. Oh, yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. We talking a little bit about the Yaqi lather bowl. And in my description where I log everything, I'm calling this the Yaqi Pereira style bowl because Yaqi did a clone of the Captain's Choice bowl as well, and they don't really, in their descriptions, seem to give it a definite name. They just call it a lather bowl. And so when you recommend it to somebody or you want to reference it somewhere, you do almost need to include a picture of it or a link to it or come up with some unique name because otherwise you can't tell them apart. So this is my Pereira style Yaqi lather bowl. Yaqi. Yaqi Brush is the company. And while I do think the Captain's Choice bowl they did is just a direct rip-off of the real Captain's Choice bowl from Captain's Choice. It's an American maker. I don't like the way they did that. However, I did buy one because I thought of it, it's a lot cheaper than the Captain's Choice bowl. And I wanted to see, it was during a sale, and I think I got it for $6 versus a lot more if you want to buy it from Captain's Choice. And my thought was, I think it's too small for me, but here's a way I can try it out. I was able to measure the bowl, compare it with the measurements, and they're exact. See, this is not exact at all with Pereira, but with the Captain's Choice clone, it's exact. And so I was able to find out I would not like to purchase the Captain's Choice bowl. So I used it for that, and I don't use it otherwise. I keep it around. It's so exactly a clone, it even has on the side of the Captain's Choice clone that a circle that the Captain's Choice puts in a shipping vessel wheel. I'm losing my mind. I don't remember the name of the steering wheel for boats anymore. Maybe it's just the wheel. I can't remember. But they etch or stamp a wheel in there, and Yaqi leaves it blank. They didn't even need to put that in the bowl at all. You know, so it's obvious they were just doing a clone. All right, and that's the regular size bowl. That's way too small for me. My lather was overflowing out of that like nothing. This one, decent quantity. Decent quantity. I had 5 passes of lather in the bowl with a large bloom brush, and while it did come near the top, it didn't overflow. So that's pretty good. Now these dimples, you thought I was signing off, didn't you? But now I switched to my lather bowl review. These dimples here, I don't know that they're doing you any favors. I think they're really, because they're really so small, they're not coming up off the bottom very much. a millimeter, maybe a millimeter and a half. Very small. I think you could really consider them there for decoration, pretty much. And so I don't think they're needed, and I don't think you should buy this bowl with the hope that these guys are going to help to improve your lather. And I've done tests on it before. A bowl with a solid bottom does a great job at producing lather, as well as if you have textures in the bottom and effectual textures that are higher, like the Pereira bowl does. And so these, I think they're really kind of ornamental. If they help you out, it's so microscopically different that I don't know that you'll notice a difference. Even the angle at which these points come up the wall, these little spines here that come out from the center, they come up the wall a little bit. And because I have a Pereira bowl and have studied it, I know that they just copied that same exact design, the same shape there coming up. All right. So where this bowl, as I summarize, where this, I should do a separate video with this one, but where this bowl differs, or where it may fall short, is the fact that you have to do smaller circles, but it's possible that somebody would get used to that. If you mix like I do, it kind of feels like a repetitive stress thing. Maybe. But I would want to check that out after using it for like 2 weeks, just to be sure. I like the fact that it's a big wide brush rest, and that means it's easier to put brushes on there. But I don't find that I need to use it because of the narrowness of this bowl. The brush doesn't sink down in there, and I like that. I like the handle for cleaning, for hanging. I don't need it because I've got big hands, but I think even average sized hand guys are not going to have a problem palming this bowl in a very secure way. It's a little heavy, about what you would expect for a bowl. If you look at this and you know it's ceramic, that's the weight you would expect. I think it is going to last a person, their whole life, as long as they don't drop it. And so I think the craftsmanship looks good. It is. I wish that these textures were a little bit stronger, because then they could help you maybe a little bit more. All right. That's all for now. I'll do a separate video maybe after I've used it several times, then I'll get some good knowledge for you. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You guys, good night.